guys, welcome back. We have another episode lined up for you today. If you have not watched the first part of the DNA Diaries, please go back and check it out. It's really fun. And now we're going to leave you to the second part of the DNA Diaries. Enjoy. Religious things that were that's what they knew.
That's what they taught them.
That's what they taught them. And so my dad was being a little bit more flexible in a lot of things, but we were always treading that line. That fine line. You can wear a necklace, or you can wear, like, we didn't wear no jewelry. Like, I didn't get my ears pierced until I was 24. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of restrictions and stuff like that. And at the time, growing up as a young person, you just see it as a lot of no's. Like, everything is bad. The wrath of God is going to come, and, God is coming and you're going to be left behind. I remember one time they were doing some evangelistic thing and they were throwing color TVs out the window because there was demons in them. Like, at that time, the way they were, it was crazy. Like, that was, and then it's a Latin thing too. So that takes it to another level. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so we were brought up with that. But my mom and my dad were always still like, but you still need a relationship with the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So those things were always taught to us from a very young age. We were told, that we were part of the ministry. Now, I always jokingly say, well, we weren't called to it. We were just brought into it, and we did what we did. And there was times that I felt like that. I felt that I'm not called, so why do I have to live to this standard? Why do I have to do the things that you guys are doing and what you're telling me to do? I don't want to do those. You know what I'm saying? But what I think that did was, even though I felt at the time as a young person that I wasn't called to it, it did create certain disciplines. Right. It did create certain disciplines, and it polished a lot of leadership skills. And so from a very young age, I was 11 when we first started. We had about 10 members in our church, and none of them were Christian. So they would come in their jeans, they would come bright, they smell, you know what I'm saying? Because the call was for the people on the streets. And in the ministry, that was the passion. To go out and get the people from the street and bring them into the church house. And we didn't care how you looked. Right. So we had people coming off the clubs and coming the next day, that's got high, dirty prostitutes. Wow. Oh my God. We saw so many people. Testimonies. Yes. Of people. It wasn't, I think the most buttoned up people was us. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody else that was a member of our church, we would just evangelize and then bring them to church on Sunday. Like, we didn't talk about don't do this, don't do that. We were just talking about the love of God and the healing power of God. And so I think I was, like I said, 11, and I used to take all the little kids to the back of the church so I can entertain them and talk to them about whatever I knew. Because we didn't even have a children's teacher. No. Just so I can keep the kids over there occupied while everybody else was in the front speaking. And I remember Maria, she used to come with her rollers to church and everything. It was bias. Oh my God. But we loved them. You know what I'm saying? Yes. We loved them so much that we grew up with a heart to serve, right? That very early on. Very, very early. Very, very, very early. We had people stay in our house that were going through detox until we got them into rehabilitation programs. We have witnessed all of these different kinds of dynamics since we were very, very young. So it did create this heart of service, right? And this heart that it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from, we're going to love on you, and we're going to show you the love of God. And so those are the foundation that our mom and our dad put in us, right? To love people, to help tell them about the hope of God. And I was thinking about that earlier today, and I was like, hope is sometimes we don't give hope a lot of credit, but hope is very close to faith, right? And hope is it's not giving up the belief, right? That there is something good for you, right? And that it's going to turn around. And sometimes it doesn't seem like it, right? Even though we were not in the streets that way or anything like that, there's different types of struggles. Definitely. And so sometimes the hope that we can get out of it is what's going to bring us to the other side.
And what's going to help us help others.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because I think that's where I say we were called very early on.
Yeah.
Because we seen that and we were actually like pushed into it, but it was just gracefully at the end of the day. Because I always say that mom and dad protected us very much. So, you know, and the more the ministry got bigger and the more the ministry was more out there, they would protect us as much as they could. Yeah. And it's very hard, I always say, for children that are pastors' kids, for the parents to pay attention to those things. Yeah. Because a lot of parents, or a lot of pastors, they forget about saving their own home. Yeah. And they're more worried about saving the people out, you know, worrying about what people are going to say, instead of worrying about what their children are going through and how they have to transition. And some kids are just not called, they just don't feel it. They're just not ready sometimes too. But I always say that they did it very gracefully. There was errors, of course. Yeah. Parenting is, you're never going to be perfect, you know? But I think when it comes to the ministry part of it, I think they did it very gracefully. And I think it was just something that was deposited in each of us very naturally, very naturally. I think from the womb of my mom. Yeah. Because we all have that heart. Right. It's like people, when they ask me, it's like, how are your sisters or whatever? So listen, we're all the same. We're all the same. When it comes to the heart, we're very different personality. Yes. But we're all the same when it comes to loving, having that compassion, that acceptance, no judgment. That's one thing I think that our family has. And I think that is a big thing. Because when you have judgments, that depends everything else that's going to come out of your mouth, or whatever you're going to exhort or give to anyone else or anyone around you. So I am very blessed. And I always say it wasn't a perfect life, but it was a beautiful life. Yes. For me, I can say that. And I think they did an amazing job. An amazing job.
I think they did an amazing job. I think that one of the things that as I got older, because now I have kids that are older, I realize, and I go back and think about it, they gave us the best that they had, right? And there was some areas that they were very well equipped in, and some areas they were not very well equipped in. But they always try to give us the best of whatever they had, right? And who they believed in was God. So they made sure that was always in the forefront of everything. They always kept us very busy when it came to ministries. They always looked for what our skills were, and they really wanted us to like build on the different gifts that we had, right? And so, and then anything that had to do with ministry or gifts or anything like that, they weren't like, don't do that, don't do that, you know, or you have to go through this process to be allowed to do this. No, they were like, if God is speaking you to speak to someone, then go ahead and do it. If God is telling you to pray for somebody, go and do it. You may not have everything you need to be of help, but give them what you have. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that translated very well over the years. You know, we've all struggled in different areas, right?
Absolutely.
I'm the oldest, you're the third, so she's one of the babies. So there was certain things that I went through that they never had to go through. And it's an understanding now that I can go back and be like, but they did the best that they could, right? They gave me the biggest gift and the best gift. And it's to know God and to know Jesus as my Lord and Savior. Right. If they didn't do anything else right, they did that right. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because now, regardless of whatever we face, we know that there is a God in heaven that loves us unconditionally.
And that's what has kept us.
And that is what has kept us. Even after all of this time, it has kept us. I moved away when I got older and everything, but we were in ministry. We did drama. We sang. We recorded a couple of EPs. You know what I'm saying? Sarah went to do a whole bunch of other ministries that we'll probably talk a little bit more on our next episode. But we were able, they equipped us with these, they nurtured a lot of our gifts that we were able to bring to our careers, that we were able to bring to our relationships, that we were able to do with at that moment. And so we have 2 more sisters. So like I said before in one of the episodes, and I think I said it earlier, my dad wasn't supposed to have children. And my mom was pregnant 7 times. And we were all girls. And 4 of us survived. You know what I'm saying? And so I know that I'm a gift. I know my sisters are a gift. There's something that God has deposited in each and one of us Even you, God has deposited. If God has allowed you to come into this world, it's because there is something in you that is for the world. Right? And a lot of time we think that we need to be in this big old platform or something like that. But no, on your day-to-day basis, if you show up sharing the love of God and showing kindness and telling people that there is hope, you've done a great service to that person.
Even if you don't think that is the biggest thing.
But it is.
Even in the weirdest things. I would always say, I'm just weird. Mom said, you're not weird. You're gifted. You're different.
Yes.
You're not weird. But for me, and for baby, it just sounds weird.
Yeah.
But you know something, even in the weird little things, God moves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can take that message
to others. Take that message to
others. So there's nothing small or big that will determine if you have that it thing to give to others. You know what I mean? So don't ever think that you, just because you don't speak in public or you don't have a testimony. You remember when we were younger, my mom, we used to say, what are we going to testify? We don't even have a testimony. But my mom said, don't worry, that life is going to show you a lot of things and you will have a testimony one day.
Yes.
You know, so even in the smallest little things, God always uses us.
Correct.
And he uses us at the right time with the right people.
And I think that over time, those lessons, right, as we got older, and I think a lot of the lessons came after our parents passed away. So our parents passed away about 20 something years ago. And just to give you a little bit more background on our parents, like we said, started with about 10 people that were not even saved in the church. They sang, they played music, and none of them had given their life to Jesus. But they were faithful. And they went in because they believed that they were getting loved on. And nobody was looking at them and telling them, you have to change before you come in here. We were like, we don't care how you come. We're going to love on you and we're going to help you. I remember there's been times, and remember, this is all background about our parents. So we're just going to give you little stories about our parents.
Yeah.
My dad, memories. We ended up with 2 rehabilitation programs for men. And we were associated with a couple of women rehabilitation programs as well out of state. And so that we felt was a calling that God had put on our parents. Our parents in ministry got accelerated so fast because within months, we went from 10 people to over a couple of hundred people. We had to move immediately from where we were.
We moved a few times from place to place.
We had to because we just got bigger.
Just kept on
and
growing.
Then we went from 10 people to a few hundred people. Then in a couple of years, we went from a couple of hundred people to a couple of thousand people. The highest amount of people we had at one time in our church was over 6,000 people in our church. So our church became one of the first, what they considered a mega church. Now they're even bigger than that. They're bigger than, but back then.
I think it was a little bit less than 6,000, but it became very big.
But at the highest point was about 5,000 to 6,000 people at the highest of the ministry.
Right.
But that's when mega church wording started happening because people never saw churches that were more than a couple of hundred people. And so we were at that level. We had radio programs. We had TV programs. We were so diverse in so many areas of media before media became media, right? And so my dad did music production, and
he was very smart. One thing I'm going to tell you, my father was super smart.
He was a smart man.
He didn't even graduate from high school.
In his testimony, he says he didn't even finish 3rd grade.
Yeah,
but he was one of the smartest, visionary. He had vision. And he would talk to people and people just would not get the vision. He's like, I'm going to show you. You know what I'm saying? And that is part of faith. You know what I'm saying? He would get a vision and he was like, God, I'm going to do this in faith. Whether I don't have the money, whether I don't have this, whether I don't have the support, whether people don't understand what I'm doing.
At the beginning, and they struggled a lot.
They struggled. Our parents struggled.
The ministry struggled a lot.
Yes.
But it grew very quickly.
But it grew very quickly. And it's sustained for a very, 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 very long time. And so when our parents passed away, that changed the dynamic a little bit with us as family. And I'll go in detail a little bit later, but I left Boston when I was around 20 years old. And so I did my own thing in my own life, which later on we'll talk a little bit more about that. So even though, you know, that saying out of sight, out of mind kind of thing, like I love my family loved me, and we talked at least once a week, but there was a disconnect. And I think that when my mom and my dad started getting sick, but then when they passed away, our relationship as sisters, it was like, we're going to make a conscious effort and a decision that we want to be a part of each other's life more. I think that did started happening. We started connecting even more and being more involved in our lives and stuff like that. But then I think in the last 5 years, it's gotten even more, right? But a lot of that had to do a lot with us remembering.
Older and getting
older. You know what I'm saying? We got older. Our kids are older. We're having different relationships with the Lord, and a lot of healing, personal healing has happened. And the love and the acceptance that my parents were giving to other people, we were showering it on each other, and we were just loving and supporting each other. And like, okay, we this is the family that our parents would want to see continue the legacy of what was their ministry, their calling, you know, and everything like that. And so in the last few years, we have been talking, but we had to get over some hurdles when it came to like what we thought ministry looked like. Because like I said, the way we were brought up was very different.
And it wasn't easy, you know, even in ministry, you know, because we were independent, my father still kept a lot of the doctrine of it. And, you know, growing up, I always said that we kind of helped them you guys got to get away from that. A little bit at least. Because it was a little bit of a struggle because, you know, you would go and minister to these churches and you wanted to put a little bit lip gloss, a little bit of eyeliner, a little bit clear nail polish. And, you know, my father was like, okay, how do I do this? That I don't hurt her, but then again, let her know that we are going to minister, and not every church that we go to accept these things. And it was sometimes hard.
It was a struggle
and
sometimes.
I'm sure that it was hard for them to kind of maneuver that part of like, okay, I don't want to, like, okay, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, and then just let my daughter lose my daughter just because of these things. But they, like, once again, they did it gracefully. And yes, there was times that, I'm gonna tell you the honest truth, I would go back and forth with my dad. You know, sometimes I'm very much like my mom and very much like my dad. I have a whole lot of both of them. But when it came to that point, I would be like, you know, talk back to him. Like, well, Dad, this little bit of lip gloss now, it's not going to send us to hell, you know? People, but, you know, we're ministering and we're ministers and this, you know, so it was very hard and it was sometimes struggle. But once again, you know, with God's mercy and grace, we were able to move on from that, and we were able to, you know, deposit and give what God has given us to give to the public and to the people.
Correct.
So, definitely.
So, you know, I think that now, as we're doing this, I'm going to be very honest. I'll be channeling like my mom and my dad. Because I'm like, and in the couple of videos that I've seen, I'm like, oh my God, that's my dad. Like, being very dramatic and being this way, I don't know how to be any other way, but seeing yourself in these videos, I'm like, there goes my dad. There goes my dad. And then there's certain parts that I'm like, there goes my mom. There goes my mom. You know? So it's right there, you see that what they've deposited in you, right? And we would not be who we are as women, as believers, if we didn't have two parents that showed us this different, vast way of serving God, but also they were who they were, and they were unapologetic of who they were, and they always made us very like, you are who you are, and this is what you need to be. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think we took those type of traits and stuff like that into our life, and it's made us to be strong. And then not having our parents for the last few years. My youngest sister was not even 18 when they passed. I think she had just turned 18, 19, Priscilla, when they passed away. So, you know, we had them for that amount of time, but they will forever live in everything that we do. And so we are very conscious, and we're very deliberate when we talk to our kids, because our children were very small when their grandparents passed away, but we're dedicated to reminding them of the upbringing that we had and the foundation that they created for us in believing who God was. And even though there was times that we either strayed away from church or even just strayed away from God and not have a ongoing relationship with the Lord, our kids can always say, but they always prayed. They always talked about God, even if, especially at least with my kids, they weren't in church all the time, but they know that there is a God and that we prayed and we did all of these things. And so,
not only that, teach them how to also have that relationship with the Lord.
And also have that relationship. So we want to encourage you today, because we did give you a little bit of background of our dad and our mom today, just so you can know a little bit about us. On our next episode, I think we'll go a little bit more deeper about each other and who we are and stuff like that, so you guys get a better idea as to where we've been and why we're doing what we're doing. But we just wanted to encourage you that it doesn't matter what lifestyle you've had. It doesn't matter what your upbringing was. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you're poor, you're rich. You know what I'm saying? You have it all. You don't have it all. But I have all these sins. But I have all of this.
Where you're at right now, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
God loves you.
Regardless, unconditional. How you are. It doesn't matter. You can be in the worst moment of your life.
Yes.
And don't think that you have that have that honor to even have that feeling of saying, you know something, I deserve forgiveness.
Yes.
God will see you there, and he would meet you where you're at. That's what I'm trying to say. He'll meet you where you're at, and definitely you just have to put your confidence and just an open heart and a sincere heart. When you have an open heart and sincere heart, God does the rest.
Yeah.
He does the rest.
Yeah. This is what I love when the Bible says he is a gentleman.
Yeah.
He will knock and wait at the door.
Exactly.
He waits for you to invite him in. You know, another thing that I love in the Bible, when he says, when you don't have nothing to say, I understand the groan and your cry. I understand that. And so I say that to say you're not alone, even when it seems physically, mentally, and emotionally, you're alone. You're not alone. And so we're hoping that these words and knowing a little bit about our parents and what they've done and some of the stuff that they've overcome, you guys are encouraged and find hope in this.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
So
definitely.
I think
don't give up. Don't give up.
Absolutely.
Don't give up. The doctors can say anything. Your friends can say anything. Your family can say anything. Don't give up.
Yes.
Believe in you. Believe in that God has you and that he will complete his promises in you.
Yeah, absolutely. He will finish those promises that he has. I always tell my kids, I'm like, this is what you need to do. And then I keep telling them, I said, but you know that there's some blessings that has your name on it that ain't for nobody else. So you need to do what you need to do. And then like, yes, we got to follow what we need to do because there's certain things that are just for me.
Yeah, just for
and
you.
So there's some things just for you that have your name on it. Nobody else can claim those blessings but you. So that's the reason why God says he has so much. You are his child. You are his prized possession. You are his masterpiece. Right? And so he loves you that much that we all have an inheritance, right? And so we just want you to be a part of that and claim your inheritance.
Yes, and it's a beautiful feeling.
Yes.
It's a beautiful feeling even when you don't have peace. You know that he will give you peace at some point. Oh, you just have to call on him.
Absolutely.
You have to call on him. And this is an everyday struggle.
Every day.
Every day is an everyday, I think, learning thing because every day I learn something new.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's just not giving up and hope.
Yes. And there is, he can change your story in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
You just have to decide that you want him to be a part of it.
Be willing.
And be willing for that.
To receive it.
To receive that. So I think this is going to be the end. And we're going to talk about our parents all the time because they always come to our remembrance. They've taught us a lot of things.
There's no way we cannot.
Yes. We always have to talk about them. But we just want to leave you with these words. And we will see you on our next episode. Please continue to follow us on our different platforms, the IG, Facebook. We always have notifications on there of things that are coming up or new things that are coming up. We have a lot of good things coming up. I must tell you. I'm so excited.
Many different things.
Yes, so many different things. And we're so excited about it. And so we hope that you guys continue to follow us on our different platforms and subscribe here, right? And
yes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share these YouTube
videos. Yes.
Share it on Instagram, Facebook. Share it with your family, your friends.
Yes.
You know, I thank God that I have great friends and people that I've met along the way that have told me, Sarai, I'm sharing the YouTube channel. And that's a beautiful blessing, because not only that we're doing this work here,
yes,
but we're transferring it to them, and they're transferring it to their families, and they're that blessing.
Yes.
So it's like domino effect.
Our vision is touch one, right?
Yes.
Touch one. If one person can relate to us, then we've done our job. Yeah. Right? And so definitely turn on your notifications. Make sure you check for all of our new updating news on all of our platforms. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you like this post.
Yes.
So until next time, guys. See you then.
Adios.
Bye.